A big, massive debut on AEW Dynamite tonight.
What up, Mox?
Guys, let's get into an AEW Dynamite review. Late night, Friday Night Dynamite. It started off with the Bucks taking on Pac and Penta. We haven't seen in a little bit of time. And we got word that Phoenix got attacked and they weren't going to show it, whatever. I don't know. So this match, you know what you're going to get out of this match. It drives me crazy because you see two Canadian destroyers like right back to back, like it's nothing. People kick out. Just big moves, just for the sake of doing big moves. But if you're into it, you're into it. I'm not a huge fan of this type of stuff, but it's just like, whatever. There's a lot of heel work from the Bucks, acting super like cocky and arrogant and fooling around the entire time. But the Bucks get the win in the end. They defeat Death Triangle, and yeah, Frankie Kazarian got involved as well. Everybody seems to have a problem with the Elite, so they seem to be beefing with the entire roster. Let's see how it ends up going when eventually is the Inner Circle going to start beefing with them eventually. But that's what seems to be going on. But I mean, it's a fun match because of all the stuff that goes on. But I'm not a huge fan of just that stuff. Throws me out of it. All that kind of stuff. Multiple destroyers back to back, and just the big moves, and just a big move at the big move, the big move, the big move, the big move. And I'm not a huge fan of it. But the Bucks get the win.
I mean, it's Brooke and Matt Hardy said it best. The Bucks are spot monkeys, and it is what it is. There's a bunch of spots everywhere. It's a good match. It was fun. Again. Is it leading to anything? I don't know. We'll see. Maybe, probably not. But again, like you said, the Inner Circle versus the Bucks. I mean, that probably make the most sense, or whatever the hell they're gonna do. This was just it was all right. It was an all right start. I just don't know what's going on, or there's not much storyline, or it has to be interesting right now in AEW. Not much is going on that's that interesting.
Yeah, then you had Eddie Kingston after the match making the save, trying to help out his former homie and Penta. And then Pac and Penta really aren't cool with this, so they'll kind of beef with each other a little bit and whatever. We'll see how this goes because now Jon Moxley's gone because of obviously Renee. She's going to give birth soon, so he's got written off. So we'll see what happens. What happens to Eddie Kingston going forward if he teams up with these guys or whatever to take on the Elite. Well, the next thing on the show, Tony Schiavone in the ring, and he introduces Mark Henry. Mark Henry comes out. And he's talking about how, I guess he's an announcer or whatever. I guess that's his role. Talking about he may come back into the ring, right? He may come back to the ring. Yeah, he'll be the announcer for Rampage when it debuts on Friday nights in August and all that. Then he gets interrupted by Vicky Guerrero, and it felt like them two in the ring was like an episode of SmackDown from like 2008. That's what it felt like right there. So they're in the ring, and then here Mark Henry leaves, and then Vicky Guerrero is going to make an announcement, and it's the arrival of Andrade El Idolo. He's not Andrade Cien Almas or anything like that. He's in La Sombra. He is Andrade El Idolo. He comes out, so he's going to he's the face of Latino wrestling, and he's now going to be the face of All Elite Wrestling. So he's officially there. We'll see if he has if Vicky's his mouthpiece for him or stuff like that. We'll see how that ends up working out. But he should benefit. But the problem is, it's another guy on this big ass roster. They're gonna get another show, but it's only an hour long. How do you work this? You have another guy on this roster. It's just a big bloated roster. Will Andrade be there for a hot minute, get a shotgun to the top really quick, disappear? Same thing with Lance Archer and stuff like that, and Brian Cage. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, they're just getting. I mean, this is a great sign. Don't get me wrong. This is like one of the most underutilized guys WWE's ever had. They had no idea what to do with him. They wasted him. Let's be honest. Like the guy in the ring, he's just really good. Maybe the fact that he doesn't speak perfect English and can't really cut a promo in English probably cost him in WWE. Vince probably didn't like it. But the fact that he's on this roster right now, I feel like he's going to get the Rusev treatment first. He's going to be in something stupid no one cares about, and then maybe in a few months he'll be in the TNT title picture or the AEW Championship picture. He should be put a rocket strap on and put in the AEW Championship picture because he's that good in the ring. Or think about him and Kenny Omega, how good of a match that would be. Probably be a 5-star match, no question. In their sleep they could probably put together, but. Again, like we said, there's not enough time. There's too many faces. There's too many groups. There's too much going on at AEW with little amounts of time. It's almost like the complete opposite of Raw, where we had the same exact thing going on for 3 hours every week. And on AEW, we have 3 hours or 2 hours of TV, and we just have too much going on. It's just like nobody can get it right now. So I don't have much faith right now in Andrade at this moment in time, but I think going forward or in the future, he could be a really huge star in AEW.
Now he should be he should be a perennial star in AEW, perennial top of the card, high top of the card guy. Now the only thing is they're gonna have their AAA Mania match, Kenny versus Andrade there, so they may hold off on bringing them both together until after that. I forget when Triple
But
Mania
no one's
is.
gonna see that. We should put it on AEW.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens with that, and then we'll see where Andrade goes for and how he ends up working out later on and how they push him. I hope he's not one of those guys like a Brian Cage and Lance Archer. They shotgun, loses, and then kind of disappears and then comes back. We'll see what happens. It was a bloated roster. Next thing on the show was Cody Rhodes and Shotty Lee Johnson taking on QT Marshall and Anthony Ogogo. Now, Anthony Ogogo I thought was like had hurt ribs, and it was just storyline stuff because why would he wrestle this match if he had hurt ribs after wrestling the pay-per-view match, hurt ribs? He lost against Cody Rhodes. This match was pretty much carried by QT and Cody with a little bit of Shotty. Lee Johnson in there, and then Gogo not really doing a ton. Maybe he did have the hurting. He did have a big splash that kind of landed on Cody's face. So whatever. The feud itself isn't really all that great. Nobody was really caring too much about it. The match was solid at a Double or Nothing, but the feud itself just really wasn't much to it. The Factory seemed kind of like it's just two factions that nobody really cares about going at each other. And Cody's already ran through the leader and the second biggest guy in the crew. So what sense does it make? In the end, you have Aaron Solo making distraction to allow Ogogo to punch Cody in the face so Marshall can get the pin, and that was pretty much it right there. Not much else to talk about. I think this is kind of a feud that nobody really cares about, nobody wants to see anymore, and yeah.
Yeah, it's a lower mid card type of feud. No one really cares. The match at or nothing was a good decent match. Cody being around right now, he's just, I don't know, none of this really matters. It doesn't mean much. The whole him becoming the American Dream, the whole England versus American feud didn't work. This being that not being the end of the feud and then adding this again into it, it's not helping anything. It felt like filler to me.
Yeah, it definitely did. And then the next thing we got on the show was the Inner Circle's victory lap after winning Stadium Stampede. Okay, so they come out and they each say their own thing. Now, Sammy Guevara was the hero of the night, so he's saying that the feud between them and the Pinnacle is not over. Then you have Santana and Ortiz talking about how them and FTR ain't over. You got Jake Hager talking about Wardlow. He wants to take on Wardlow in a cage, a lion's den basically. He wants to take an MMA cage. So 2 weeks he wants to have an MMA match against Wardlow. Then Chris Jericho talking about he wants to take out MJF. The feud is not over. They said it themselves, the feud is far from over. Now, how can you do this after Blood and Guts felt like should be the end of the show, end of the feud? Then Stadium Stampede should have definitely felt like should have been the end of the feud, but it feels like they have no idea what to do with these groups going forward, so they're just going to keep them together. And that's what we're going to get.
Yeah, this felt like, how can you not have, there's two matches that you just had that literally were like complete storyline killers. Like, it was the end, it was the payoff. We saw what we saw, and it was great. And now we're gonna just keep continuing with this. It's like we don't know what to do, but we have all these freaking factions. We might as well just we have a bunch of meaningless factions that we had the two biggest factions. Instead of putting them together, maybe they should spread out and put other guys over, right? That probably made the most sense. But no, we're gonna continue with the same feuds, and we're probably gonna see MJF versus Chris Jericho 1-on-1. At this point, what's the sell? Like, we just saw them go through two hellacious, monstrous, great matches that we don't really see anything else. So what's the point? It gets overkill at this point. It's lazy to me. It's like, you have all these factions. Why do we need to see the same top two factions go against each other? Let's spread the wealth a little bit. Come back to it later on. Yeah, I don't know. It just feels dumb. It
feels like they're gonna like milk the living hell out of this one. They're gonna keep milking it, and we'll see where it ends up going. It felt like, but you just. Because then the two matches don't really mean much, Blood and Guts and Stampede, if it didn't end the feud, because there's supposed to be payoffs, like how a cage match or something like that would be.
These matches are feud enders. Like, you don't, like, the first one was a feud ender, and they did end there. And then I say Stampede. What else is bigger than that? What are you gonna do? Like, have a match in a volcano or something? Like, I don't understand. Like, what else can you possibly do?
Yeah, there's not much else that you can do with this. Now, the next thing on the show is Christian Cage taking on Jungle Boy taking on Private Party, which is Private Party feel like they run their course with Matt Hardy. It's just all feels kind of like blah. They're wearing khakis with button down shirts now, and it's not really working. Like, Matt Hardy right now in AEW is like not working right whatsoever. Like, for me, Matt Hardy it's just not working. His crew is just it's just not there. So the match happened.
It's worse than his run in WWE's last weekend.
Yeah, it's just as bad. And then you have Jungle Boy's mega over. He's gonna get the title shot I think next week or 2 weeks. I'm sorry, on a Saturday, the end of this month. He's gonna take on Kenny Omega on a Saturday Night Dynamite for that title. So we'll see what happens there. He's obviously not gonna win, but we'll see what happens. Jungle Boy and Cage get the win, defeating Private Party. And this is interesting because you have Matt Hardy attacking Christian which is like, what year is it, right? Because you've seen these two guys like have a feud, a Matt Hardy and Christian feud. Is like, like it's funny. It's funny to watch, but yeah, it's just Matt Hardy's like right now. It's just like, I don't know. I'm not feeling nothing he's doing right now.
Nope. Like this Matt Hardy with the group, I don't know. Like Private Party, I'm sorry, I've never been a big fan. Yeah. I don't understand what the hype was about. I know they had big internet hype, but like their in-ring stuff is like, it might as well be people on a trampoline to me. It's just not fun. It's not good. I don't think they're good promos. I don't think they're interesting at all. This Matt Hardy thing, ever since he went from Broken Matt to whatever the hell he's doing now, I just don't dig it. I don't like it. I don't want to see any more of it. Just break him up or do something else, or I don't know, have him become a EVP or whatever, or an agent, because right now none of this is working. Christian Cage, all right, versus Matt. I guess it's 2001 again, except we're missing Edge and Jeff, who are probably the bigger stars of both those groups. Just saying, just throwing that out there. But yeah, just not great. I want Broken Matt back. I want the promises of Broken Matt back.
Yeah, I mean, the Matterverse thing was a cool concept, and they never capitalized on it. They kind of just threw it to the side. So he got injured, and that was what it was. They decided to just change it up. But next thing on the show is Dr. Britt Baker's championship celebration. So she's out there with all the heels, a bunch of heels. She out there has a bunch of double cheeseburgers. They're going to celebrate. They grab a bunch of cheeseburgers. Nyla Rose does not like it and slaps them all away. And then that was it. This felt like it should have been a lot bigger. It should have been a lot better. And it just didn't feel like it should have been there for Britt Baker. Her first appearance with the title. It just didn't feel like it had much there to it. And it felt like just like, like that's all it was. It was just the moment, and it's a disservice to Britt Baker winning that title. Yeah,
this was overthinking it. This was just like, we're gonna do something big, and it's just like you came out with this crap. You just came out have her come out and just do her victory lap by herself, just doing what she does. And natural, she's a good promo. She's naturally just charismatic. She's naturally a great heel. Just let her do her own thing. And you could have Shivani there. She could have made fun of Shivani. Just keep doing what you're doing. You overthought it, and you blew it, because this was not a great start to her championship run. This sucked. Nothing about it was good.
Yeah, you could have done something bigger and made it the main event, the final thing on the show, made it feel more important, because the spot on the card is interesting, because like before this, or you would get Scorpio. I mean, you would get Darby and Sting in the ring, and Sting would come out and say that Double or Nothing was like up there with the greatest moments of his career, I guess. He's done some pretty cool ass shit, right? For him to say like that. Yeah, for to say this match was like up there. I mean, I don't know, whatever. But then Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page got on the screen. They were talking. They said they want to take on Darby again, but you can't pick Sting as a partner. Whatever. I mean, it's stupid. I don't know. It's a stupid concept, but it's dumb. That and then the placement of the Britt Baker thing just makes no sense. Yeah.
Yeah, like this was a bad couple, like 20 minutes or whatever that was. It wasn't great. It was like this whole Dynamite on Friday stuff. I know the NBA stuff, but it's ruining its juju right now. I don't know. I'm not feeling it. Yeah,
and the card was like weirdly paced and weirdly spread out. Yeah, because the next thing on the show, we had Red Velvet versus the Bunny. I thought the show was over already, right? Like the show just kept. It felt like it dragged. So we have Red Velvet versus the Bunny. Yeah. She wins. Okay, whatever. Red Velvet and Jade Cargill seems to be like where they want to go in the end, right? Again. But then we had the main event, which just made no sense as to why this was the main event. It was a bull rope match. Why? I don't know. Nick Comoroto versus Dustin Rhodes. And Jim Ross came out to say it was bowling shoe ugly, meaning it was an ugly match. It didn't really work out, and it wasn't good. Dustin gets the win, but what the hell's the point of this? And nobody cares about Nightmare Factory versus the Factory. Nobody cares about it.
And then Nick Comoroto is not good in the ring, and he has no business being in a main event on Dynamite. Like, I'm not trying to shit on his skills, but like, you're in there with Dustin Rhodes, who can make probably us look decent, and this looked terrible. You could have had a normal match, first match of the card, or somewhere in the middle. Well, why this was a main event, I'll never understand, and why we would care to have a bull rope match on a random Dynamite on a Friday. It's like, hey, we just need this feels almost WCW like this is like 2.99 WCW where we just need a match, and this is a match. We're gonna put Buff Bagwell's mom on a pole. Like, this was kind of like in that same vein where we're just like, we need a match, and Comorato's in there, and he's not ready for a main event on Dynamite. He's just not. Like, I'm sorry, he's just not. Like, there's some people that aren't. Maybe in a few years he might be, but right now he's not. And if Dustin Rhodes can't make a good match out of that crap, then I don't know what to tell you, but that wasn't good. And JR said it best. Like, it was not a good match.
Yeah, it wasn't good. And you should have had, like I said, you should have had Britt Baker's thing end the show. Or if you wanted to have Nightmare Factory, then you should have done the tag team match earlier with Rhodes and Ogogo and all that as the main event. It would have made more sense. Like, why the hell did Dustin need to take on Camarado in a? What was the reasoning behind a bull rope match? Like, what is the reasoning behind having that type of match
with no real build? Like, what's the build? Like, I know there's been a beef between the Factory and the Nightmare Factory, whatever the hell, the Nightmare family. But like, what's the point? Like, this isn't there was a build to get a bull rope match. Like, that's not a match you just come up with. Come on, man. Lazy booking.
You can't complain about Raw and not complain about this. So if you're complaining about Raw but you thought this was cool, I mean, don't be so right. Yeah, you can't be so biased. Like, I'll be honest with you, but this wasn't a good episode of Dynamite. But whatever, we'll see what next week's has in store for us as they build closer to God knows whatever the hell the Full Gear is. I think next week.
Is that on Wednesday or is that on Friday?
I think it's gonna be on. It's gonna be on. I think it's gonna be on Friday for like a while now, but we'll see what happens with
the NBA.
Yeah. Right, so, but guys, that's our AEW Dynamite review. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. Remember, drop a like on this one. Hit the chair in the corner for Hitsy first and sub to the channel. Make sure you check out the SmackDown one that we just dropped. All that good stuff. Tomorrow, June 5th, I think it is June 5th, 11 a.m. Night of Champions 2009 retro review. Check out that show. Check out the retro review. Jump in the stream. Let us know what you thought of the show or whatever. I got the original cast of guys to do the retro review with. Appreciate those guys coming back on, and I got something else sprinkled in this weekend too. I'm trying to drop for you guys as well. But appreciate you guys for tuning in, and I'll catch you guys on next week.
Hey, box.